Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. We're going to talk about several different kinds of ways to tell if somebody's lying. Narcissists love to lie. They're so good at it, though. So a lot of times they get away with things, but there are definitely some clues to kind of make things easier to tell what the true story is. A lot of it, you guys know that they just have stories that don't add up. The stories keep changing. That's a very common one. Like they might say that they're traveling for work, and then all of a sudden they're going to see family. And over time, you're going to start to pick up those kind of patterns. That's kind of an easy one. But there are some pretty intricate ones. Now, narcissists will use this often. They love to say that they have everything in common with you, to the point where it could be, your parents had the same religion, or your parents had the same type of job, or they can relate to this. They used to play softball too. They used to do this. They used to do hockey. Narcissists just try to have something in common with you, so you feel a bond with them, so they can suck you in. They might be trying to win us over by repeating parts of our life. So they might say something like, oh my gosh, I did that too, even if they've never done it. So sometimes, if you try to delve into it, they won't be able to tell you what the surroundings were like, or, asking if they went to a certain restaurant. Sometimes you can trick them up too. If you know the area and there's, let's say, no McDonald's, and ask them, did you go to that McDonald's? Wasn't it cool how they decorated? Knowing there's no McDonald's, or at least back in that year that they said they went. So you can kind of use a little detective work, especially on social media. Sometimes they might have blurry or grainy photos. Just depends if they're trying to hide their identity or where they are. That can be a red flag. And also, if they only give group photos, they're trying to conceal something. So let's say, I don't know, they can say it was their sister if it was a guy, or there's different kind of relationships, but let's say in a traditional man-woman relationship, if they show a picture with them next to a girl that's around their age, you might think it's a wife or a girlfriend. So they had these group photos that they might share. That way nobody really knows what's really going on. If their photos look retouched or photoshopped, so they can be like, oh, I was in China over the summer, but it's photoshopped. Or I went to a concert last weekend, knowing that they cheated and they're trying to hide something. So if you can kind of tell if they look too perfect. Sometimes they'll blow things out of proportion. They've done some, I want to say it was one of the Kardashians. I'm not sure if it was Kim, but she tried to make her butt look bigger or something, but it distorted the door. So you see her butt, and then she made it bigger, but it also pulled out the door and bubbled it. So little things like that. Sometimes they're just trying to mislead you on who they really are. And that's common with online dating as well, like the catfishing, where they're just trying to steal money from you, or just use you for like a kind of like a kick, an adrenaline rush that they're fooling somebody. They'll often use fewer personal pronouns. So if you're going to ask them, when did you graduate high school? Instead of saying, oh, I graduated whatever, they will say, my graduation happened. Their speech patterns are often telling on how they say it. So just pay attention to that. Instead of them saying I, they'll focus on the question, not them. So they can also leave short descriptions or bios. They just don't want to say exactly who they are. They want to leave you guessing, so they can leave it open. That way, let's say they don't want to say what religion they are, because they might be weeded out. They don't want to say if they're single or in a relationship, because that way it's a clean slate for them. They can twist and manipulate anybody. They can be a chameleon, and it works out for them. So if they might get defensive sometimes, if they're lying about what they look like to you. If you ask certain things, instead of them just telling you. So if you haven't seen them yet or in person, they'll try to switch things around. And that's with this online dating stuff that you have to be careful about. So another thing, you know, all of a sudden they're in love with you. That's, you know, how can they truly be in love with you? They haven't even really gotten to know you yet. So that's definitely a red flag. One thing to definitely watch out for, because that's a common tactic used by scammers, and it's related to love bombing. Narcissists love to scam us because it's all about a supply, just like a scammer out for money. They're just going after what they want. They have no remorse. They don't care as long as they get their supply. So if all of a sudden they're in love with you, take a step back, take a pause, take a deep breath, and, you know, really evaluate it. You know, we might have feelings of love, but do we really know that we love this person? And a narcissist will declare it. If somebody asks you for money, that's a big thing to be cautious of. They're probably telling you a story in order to get that money. That can say that it'll relate to the story, kind of being off, especially in the beginning of a relationship, and especially if you're not married. So there's some other ones I wanted to discuss with you. A lot of times they might start to sweat or become flush. So definitely some body clues. What they do with their hands. People who are lying are more likely to gesture with both of their hands as opposed to people who are telling the truth. So they tend to face their palms away from you. And that's kind of like an unconscious signal. Says that they're kind of holding back some information, whether it's emotions, it might be a straight up lie. If their hands are inside their pockets, or they slide them under the table because maybe they don't want you to see them fidgeting. They don't want to show you any clues, which is kind of interesting how all these body clues. So pay attention to the phrases. Sometimes, now I'll be honest with you, and this is so funny because this is the truth. I just said it subconsciously because I want to tell you this. When I say that I want to be honest with you, it's me saying that I'm uncomfortable talking about it. So when I had just said this, I said it off the cuff because I'm uncomfortable, because when people try to figure out if somebody's lying, they tell you often, if they say honestly or to tell you the truth, a lot of times it indicates they're lying. But I'm not lying. But it's just something to be aware of. A lot of times it can mean that. It can mean that they're lying. Going through all these different YouTube channels, I have noticed some people are like, no, I do that too. It is something I say when I'm uncomfortable talking about it. So right now I don't want the backlash that I'm lying when I'm trying to tell you that I'm uncomfortable saying it, but it is a sign of uncomfortableness. So if the narcissist is about to lie, that's why they're saying it. I wouldn't say it's 100% cold hard truth to if somebody says that, but their voice, pay attention to their voice. If people are nervous, the muscles located in and around our vocal cords tend to tighten up. It's just instinct. It's a stress response. And sometimes it can lead your voice to sounding more high pitched. There might be some cracks in the liar's voice. So if their voice cracks, that could be something. Be careful with teenagers, especially boys. Their vocal cords are still developing, their Adam's apple, all that. So it's not always a lie, especially if they're younger, but in adults, it can be a sign. Sweaty or dryness. A lot of times liars will bring their lips in. But if they're sweaty, usually on the T area, your forehead, upper lip, mouth, chin, and then if they're starting to lick their lips, swallowing hard, if there's a dryness in the mouth, and even their eyes. So they might be kind of squinting a little bit. There's just all these reactions in our bodies that go on. So pay attention. There's so many different clues that, often people will try to cover their eyes or mouth when they're trying to lie. It's almost like they want to cover up the lie. They don't want you to see into their soul. Pay attention to those things. Also the way that they look at things. So if they're trying to remember a memory, they go away. My dominant hand is my right hand. They will look to the left towards their ear. If they're trying to think of a truthful story, they'll either look up or so within these areas. But if they're pulling from imagination, they will look to the same side as their dominant hand. So you can tell most people are right-handed, not all people. So be aware of that. Fidgeting, it's sometimes too, if they like scratch their face or something, it's like a response to like dopamine, to where it kind of makes you itch. So if they're like fidgeting a lot, touching their face a lot, it could be a sign that they're not being honest. Sometimes, where they're like playing with their hair, grooming behaviors, some people, if they have a beard or so. Also, liars take longer to start answering their questions. Just like if I'm like, did you just kill somebody? You'd be like, you could instantly say no. And a liar will be like, how do I get out of this? So pay attention to how quickly they answer. They'll often embellish more than needs to be. Usually liars will add to the story. And like I said, those first person pronouns, they, like the narcissist, that's them not taking accountability. So they'll use, they'll seem more anxious, and it's just something to be aware of. So sometimes if you can kind of ask them to tell their story in reverse, this is usually more for like interrogation, things like that. Because when we're making a story, if we're lying, we can add to it. We can embellish it. Like, oh, that sounds good. We'll add to it this way. But if you do it in reverse, you don't know where it's leading. And it has to come back to the beginning. So that's a really good trick for lie detection, and also the accuracy. And it's also harder to do your hands and your facial expressions. So pay attention to nonverbal, verbal cues that help differentiate between lying and being honest. So there's a bigger cognitive load when you ask them to do it in reverse. So lying is more mentally taxing than honesty. So they're going to have those stress responses. It's going to take a bunch of effort. And also pay attention to if there's some little detail you can pull up out of their story and put it in memory, and then talk to them a little bit more and bring that up to where you ask them again. Don't tell them, did you really mean that you went to McDonald's? Just say, where was it again that you ate? And see if they come up with the same place or the same story or the same detail that you're looking for. And they're just going to try to stick to the story. Liars usually get found out with narcissists. They are really good at lying. So pay attention if they blink their eyes. Often, we blink our eyes, a few times a minute, but if they do rapid succession where it's like 5 to 8 in a row, something's going on. Also trust your gut. Your gut usually can help if you know something's not quite right. But humans in general, sometimes it's hard to identify dishonesty, because when you're talking to people, we kind of expect common courtesy, you know, but also lack of eye contact. Are they looking at you when they talk to them? That can be a sign that they're lying. So it's good to create a baseline. If you want to spot a lie, add to that cognitive load, and trust your instinct. Those are the best ways to tell if somebody is lying. Now, I did a video where one of my exes had told me that his friend shot himself, and I'm like, here we go again, another lie. And I'm glad I didn't question him on it. I did my own research, and he was telling the truth, but on pretty much everything else, they were lies. A lot of times your gut will be right, but they're not always right. So be cautious of that, because once you bring it up, that would have been terrible for our relationship at that time had I said, you're lying, and he's going through a loss. But if you're worried about the cheating or the things like that, there are, you know, things that you can do to kind of verify, or at least give a little bit more information to make sure. But pay attention to cues, clues, maybe ask a few more times before jumping the gun on completely wholeheartedly accusing them. Do your research. Your gut will lead you to want to know more. But those are some clues that you can use. If you guys would like to add some in the comments, I would love to hear what you have used to uncover some lies, because narcissists definitely do lie, and there are ways to kind of help figure out what's going on. So please like and subscribe. One-on-ones are available, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.